Chapter 2182. Boom. Boom. At this moment, all the archrace experts erupted with shocking auras and cold killing intent. Who is it? The archrace expert roared as he looked at the divine bull palace and the barbarian dragon palace. To be able to kill a perfected absolute sage, the person's strength was definitely above that. It was very likely that the person was a quasi-emperor. However, the people of the divine wilderness did not have such high cultivation. It was very likely that the person was an expert from the divine bull palace and the barbarian dragon palace. They suspected that the people of the divine bull palace and the barbarian dragon palace secretly attacked. Don't look at me like that. I didn't send anyone. I didn't either. The divine bull palace master and the barbarian dragon palace master denied it with innocent expressions. Who is it? Get out here. Otherwise, these brats will die. A quasi-emperor from the archrace stepped out. Cold killing intent enveloped the fatty and the others. However, an aura erupted from the crowd, crushing the quasi-emperor's killing intent. Then, a dark-skinned youth stepped out. This youth was naturally Lu Ming. Before he came here, he had already used his divine breath technique to change his appearance. Brat, was it you who attacked just now? The quasi-emperor asked with a cold gaze. Why are you asking the obvious? Lu Ming smiled faintly. Are you from the divine bull palace or the barbarian dragon palace? The quasi-emperor asked. I'm from the Dragon Alliance. Lu Ming continued to smile. Many people were stunned, especially Xiel Wan and the others. They were even more stunned. Lu Ming said that he was from the Dragon Alliance, but they did not have such a strong expert. The quasi-emperor clearly did not believe it. He thought that Lu Ming was playing with him. He asked coldly, you should be from Yuanlu, right? You can say so. Lu Ming continued to smile. Are you alone? The quasi-emperor asked again. Nonsense, which eye of yours saw that there were two of me? Lu Ming berated. The quasi-emperor's gaze turned even colder. You killed a member of the archrace. Today, you can forget about leaving. Boom. The quasi-emperor of the monarch race made his move. He took a step forward and a terrifying pressure pressed down on Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming smiled and took a step forward. Countless runes appeared and condensed into a Grim Reaper. The Grim Reaper held the Grim Reaper scythe in his hand and directly slashed at the quasi-emperor of the monarch race. Poochie. The death god scythe easily chopped the sovereign race quasi-emperor in half. Hiss hiss hiss, a series of gasps could be heard. That was a quasi-emperor, yet he was killed in an instant. He did not even have the chance to fight back. Could it be that he was also a martial emperor? I know who he is. Black-faced Reaper. It's the black-faced Reaper. Suddenly, someone shouted. What? Black-faced Grim Reaper? That's him. Legend has it that the black-faced Reaper is a dark-skinned young man who can summon the Reaper to do battle. He's extremely terrifying. There were constant exclamations. Many people looked at Lu Ming with awe and respect. 3 months ago, during the battle for the Holy Spirit Fruit at Wuyuan Mountain, the black-faced Reaper appeared out of nowhere and displayed terrifying combat strength. He killed the experts of the monarch race, divine bull palace, and barbarian dragon palace in one fell swoop. During this period of time, the news had already spread throughout the divine wilderness continent. Most people had heard of the black-faced Reaper. However, the black-faced Reaper was very mysterious. Ever since he appeared last time, he had disappeared without a trace. The three great forces sent experts to hunt down the black-faced Reaper but to no avail. Unexpectedly, the black-faced Reaper suddenly appeared now. It's him. He's courting death. How dare he kill the people of my divine bull palace? We must eliminate him today. Not only the monarch race, but the experts of the divine bull palace and barbarian dragon palace also spoke coldly, their cold gazes sweeping towards Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming smiled and did not care at all. So, the backer of that fatty and the others is him. Many people's hearts skipped a beat. They finally understood why the fatty and the others were so bold to cause trouble. It turned out that their backer was the black-faced Reaper. Boom. At this moment, Sakura stood up from his seat. A terrifying aura spread out in all directions. Many people trembled and almost knelt down. So, the black-faced reaper is you. However, since you dare to show off in my territory today, I think you've come to the wrong place, Sakura said coldly. Your territory? Lu Ming said with a strange expression. This is the Dragon Emperor City, the territory of the Dragon Alliance. It's the territory of the alliance leader of the Dragon Alliance, Lu Ming. When did it become your territory? You're really shameless. Lu Ming. Ridiculous, a little guy who's not even a martial emperor. What qualifications does he have to control the Dragon Emperor City? Sakura said coldly. You're not allowed to insult my master. Zhuang Xiaoro glared at Sakura. Haha, ridiculous, insulting your master? Your master, Lu Ming, is nothing. He's already a thing of the past. If he appears again, I can crush him with a finger. Ren Qianxing mocked at the side. Oh! Lu Ming looked at Ren Qianxing with a strange expression and said, I'm right here, come and crush me. After saying this, Lu Ming's appearance changed rapidly and returned to his original appearance. What? When everyone heard Lu Ming's words, they were stunned. However, when they saw Lu Ming's appearance, many of them were tongue-tied. They were completely dumbfounded. In the Divine Wilderness continent, it could be said that most people had seen Lu Ming's appearance before. In the past, Lu Ming had unified the Divine Wilderness and established the Dragon Alliance, which was supreme. Large and small forces had a portrait of Lu Ming. In the Dragon Emperor City, there was also a huge statue of Lu Ming. Now that they saw Lu Ming's true appearance, they were all stunned. Lu Ming, it's really Lu Ming. Xie Jiuyang, Xiel Wan, and the others were the first to react and shouted in disbelief. It's really Lu Ming. The leader of the Dragon Alliance, Lu Ming, is back. Oh my god, it's true. He's many times stronger than before. He even killed a boundary emperor in an instant. Countless people exclaimed. It turned out that the famous black-faced killing god was Lu Ming, the leader of the Dragon Alliance. Then, someone thought of even more. It turned out that the fatty, Zhuang Xiaoshan, and Zhuang Xiaoro's backer was Lu Ming. Could it be that their battle strength had suddenly increased because of Lu Ming? Ren Qianxing, what right do you have to be compared to my master? What's even more ridiculous is that you said that you're the #1 genius of the Divine Wilderness continent and that you've surpassed my master. Zhuang Xiaoshan looked at Ren Qianxing with disdain and sneered. He's just a piece of trash. What right does he have to be compared to Lu Ming? Lu Ming only taught me for a few months and he couldn't even take one attack from me. What a piece of trash. The fatty mocked. Ren Qianxing's face turned ugly. Lu Ming could even kill a boundary emperor. His battle strength was extremely terrifying. Moreover, if what the fatty said was true, it would be even more terrifying. He only taught the fatty for a few months and he could kill him in an instant. He was too far away from Lu Ming. Chapter 2183. When Lu Ming revealed his true form, the scene was in an uproar. There were only a few experts from the Yuan continent present. Most of them were from the Divine Wilderness continent. Lu Ming's status in the Divine Wilderness continent was too high. More than 10 years ago, Lu Ming had left the Divine Wilderness to cultivate in the Yuan continent. Now that he had returned, he had indeed displayed shocking combat strength. Greetings, Alliance Leader. At this moment, Xiel Wan, Xie Jiuyang, Yang Guangtu and the others bowed to Lu Ming. Greetings, Alliance Leader. Then, more people bowed to Lu Ming. When the Dragon Alliance ruled the world, they had countless members. There were a large number of Dragon Alliance members present. When they saw Lu Ming, they were extremely excited. Senior Xie, Senior Jiuyang, Brother Yang, Hua Kai, let's drink and chat after we deal with these people from the Yuan continent. Lu Ming spoke and nodded to Xiel Wan and the others. His words made the Sakura and the others' faces turn cold. Their bodies emitted a cold aura. Lu Ming, you have cultivated in the Yuan continent for some time and have made some progress. However, you are still far from being able to go against me alone. You must have someone supporting you. Call out the person behind you. The Sakura said coldly. I am dealing with you alone. Why would I need help from others? Lu Ming said faintly. Many people were stunned. Lu Ming was really going to deal with the Sakura alone? How was that possible? I can suppress you with a flip of my hand, the Sakura said coldly. His aura became even colder. Dong. Then, the Sakura took a step forward. That step caused the entire sky to explode. A terrifying pressure pressed down on the entire world. His body emitted endless golden light. He was like an invincible emperor overlooking the world. The pressure came in waves. It was too terrifying. Many people with insufficient cultivation immediately knelt down. It was difficult for them to resist. Many people roared. They were unwilling to kneel down and resisted with all their might. At this moment, the Divine Bull Palace Master and the Barbarian Dragon Palace Master released their aura. It rippled out like water and reduced the pressure on the others. Many people let out a long sigh of relief before revealing looks of horror. Too strong, Sakura is too strong, completely unfathomable and unrivaled. Indeed. Just the overflowing aura is enough to make me explode. How can there be such a strong person in this world? Lu Ming is finished. No matter how strong he is, it's impossible for him to be Sakura's opponent. Many people were discussing. After sensing the overflowing aura of the Sakura, many people were alarmed by the Sakura's strength. They believed that Lu Ming was basically unable to contend against the Sakura. Although Lu Ming was a prodigy, he had only cultivated for a few years. How could he possibly fight against such a character? Insolent Sakura, you dare to attack me. At this moment, Lu Ming's loud shout reverberated throughout the entire area, leaving many people dumbfounded. Sakura himself was also taken aback. Why didn't he dare to attack Lu Ming? At this time, a token appeared in Lu Ming's hand, flashing with golden light. Sakura, why aren't you greeting me after seeing me? Lu Ming said coldly. Hunyuan sect's gold inheritance token. So you're the Hunyuan sect's gold inheritor. Sakura's eyes shone with a bright radiance. It's good that you know. Lu Ming looked at Sakura indifferently, his face calm. When he became the Hunyuan sect's gold inheritor, he received a name list. On the name list, Sakura was a bronze inheritor. No matter if it was a bronze inheritor or a silver inheritor, they had all sworn to obey the gold inheritor. Lu Ming took out the gold inheritance token now to see how Sakura would react. Sakura's face changed and then he laughed. Lu Ming, you're really funny. You actually want to use the gold inheritance token to suppress me. Don't you know that after reaching the martial emperor realm, you have the ability to resist oaths? Ordinary blood oaths can't do anything to me. Today, I'll kill you and take your gold inheritance token. Sakura laughed, full of ridicule. These people really don't follow the oath of that year. Lu Ming shook his head and kept the gold inheritance token. He didn't want to rely on the gold inheritance token to make Sakura submit. He just wanted to test it out. Boom. Sakura took another step forward, and the terrifying pressure became even stronger. Hua Kai, Xiel Wan, Xia Jiuyang and the others were nervous. Fatty, Zhuang Xiaoro, Zhuang Xiaoshan and the others were also nervous. Although they believed in Lu Ming, the other party was too strong, beyond their imagination. The alliance leader is very calm, he should be confident, Xiel Wan said. With their understanding of Lu Ming, they knew that Lu Ming wouldn't fight a battle that he wasn't confident in. Now that he was so calm, he should have something to rely on. Di clan leader, leave this brat to me. I can feel that this brat's hands are stained with the blood of my clan. At this moment, an unusually burly figure stepped out from behind Sakura. This person was wrapped in heavy iron armor and was 4 meters tall. Lu Ming could see that this was a member of the evil god tribe. Although the aura emitted by this evil god tribe member wasn't as strong as Sakura, it was still terrifying. He was a 1-star Void Emperor expert. Sakura stopped in his tracks. Since there was someone to do it for him, he couldn't be bothered to do it. Brat, your hands are stained with the blood of my clan. Die. The evil god tribe expert held a spiked club in his hand and swept it out. Boom. The space exploded. The mace carried a terrifying power and blasted towards Lu Ming. What a terrifying power. Many people were shocked. Today was different from the past. Now, The space of the divine wilderness continent was incomparably stable. Everyone's flying speed was several times slower, let alone breaking through space. But now, the evil god tribe members' mace had blasted the space. It could be seen how powerful this attack was. Many people's hearts were in their mouths, worried for Lu Ming. But Lu Ming's expression was calm. He reached out a claw and grabbed outwards. A large hand formed and grabbed the mace. Bang! The mace struck the large hand, but the large hand didn't move at all. It grabbed the mace and then shook violently. Buzz! The mace shook violently. A terrifying power followed the mace and blasted out. The evil god tribe member let out a blood-curdling scream. The heavy armor on his body directly exploded. His arm also exploded, sending flesh and blood splattering everywhere. Die! Lu Ming said coldly. Then, with a shake of his hand, the huge mace flew back and collided with the evil god tribe member's body. Bang! The evil god tribe member's entire body exploded like a big watermelon. Blood and flesh splattered everywhere and his soul scattered. A one-star Void Emperor realm evil god tribe member was instantly killed by Lu Ming. The scene suddenly quieted down. Everyone was stunned by this scene. Just now, the aura that the evil god tribe member revealed was very strong. Although it couldn't be compared to Sakura, it was still very terrifying. To the people of the divine wilderness continent, it was an unfathomable and unrivaled existence. Chapter 2184. Everyone looked at Lu Ming in a daze. Huff, huff, huff. After a long time, many of them heaved a sigh of relief. Ciel Wan and the rest of the Dragon League were overjoyed. Lu Ming's combat strength was beyond their imagination. At this moment, Indra's eyes revealed a trace of killing intent. Lu Ming, it seems that I have underestimated you. You can actually kill a one-star Void Emperor, Indra said coldly. However, he was still confident and wasn't worried. He was a 3-star Void Emperor. The difference between a 1-star Void Emperor and a 3-star Void Emperor was too big. He could easily kill a 1-star Void Emperor. He didn't think that Lu Ming could fight with him. Moreover, he could also see that Lu Ming hadn't broken through to the Void Emperor realm. He was just a quasi-emperor. How strong could a quasi-emperor be? How could he be a match for a 3-star Void Emperor? Lu Ming, let me end you personally. Indra's body emitted a cold killing intent again. His aura was monstrous. Kill. This time, Lu Ming directly attacked. He couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense with Indra and charged forward. Boom. 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 In the process of rushing out, Lu Ming's aura was constantly exploding and rising. One law after another erupted. One after another, 5 laws erupted, forming a 5-colored law river. This is the law of primal chaos and the law of death. How is this possible? Impossible, this is impossible. In an instant, Indra's face changed drastically. He roared crazily as if he had discovered something unbelievable. Boom. Lu Ming struck out with his palm. Heaven and earth roared as it pierced through the space. Emperor soared. Indra roared. At this moment, he was extremely frightened. He erupted with all his strength, hoping to block it. In that instant, Lu Ming erupted with 5 laws. 2 of them were the strongest laws and 3 of them were the Emperor Dao. It almost scared him to death. At this moment, the experts of the Divine Bull Palace and the Barbarian Dragon Palace were almost scared to death. The people of the Divine Desolate Continent did not know how shocking Lu Ming's display of 5 nomological laws was. However, the people from the Yuan continent naturally knew. Waves of shock rose in their hearts. Dong. And at this time, Lu Ming and Sakura's attacks collided. Boom. Lu Ming's palm force landed on the Emperor sword that Sakura had slashed out. Wang. The Emperor sword vibrated crazily as if it couldn't bear the burden and finally exploded. Lu Ming's palms didn't stop. He continued to attack Di Shitian's chest. Di Shitian's chest was directly penetrated, and a hole appeared. The terrifying destructive power crazily rushed into Di Shitian's body, destroying his life force. How is this possible? Blood kept gushing out of Sakura's mouth. His eyes were fixed on Lu Ming, still in disbelief. Until now, He still found it hard to believe that a person could control 5 nomological laws before breaking through to the martial emperor realm. 2 of them were the strongest laws. This simply broke his understanding of the martial Tao. In the next moment, the terrifying destructive power rushed into Di Shitian's body. Di Shitian's body exploded and turned into ashes. Even his soul was destroyed. Lu Ming waved his hand and kept Di Shitian's storage ring. At this moment, the scene fell into dead silence. Countless people were dumbfounded as they looked at the scene with their eyes wide open. In their eyes, the supreme expert of the Yuan continent, the invincible Di Shitian, couldn't even withstand one move from Lu Ming. He was killed in one move. If they didn't see it with their own eyes, it would be like a fairy tale. Master is invincible. Master is invincible. After a long while, Zhuang Xiaoshan and Zhuang Xiao finally reacted. They were so excited that their bodies trembled as they shouted. Alliance leader is invincible. Then, the members of the Dragon Alliance also reacted and shouted crazily and excitedly. At this moment, Lu Ming was supreme and invincible in their eyes. Wave after wave of shouts shot up to the sky. Hua Kai, Xue Lian, Xia Jiuyang and the others were also trembling with excitement. As for the people of the Imperial race, Divine Bull Palace and Barbarian Dragon Palace, their faces were pale. Lu Ming waved his hand and the scene quieted down. Lu Ming turned around and looked at Ren Qianxing indifferently. Didn't you want to crush me with one finger just now? Do it. Lu Ming said indifferently. Plop. Ren Qianxing's body went limp and fell to the ground. His face was pale and he almost cried. Asking him to attack Lu Ming? Was he looking for death? Even Sakura wasn't a match for Lu Ming. In front of Lu Ming, he was simply an ant. Lu Ming could probably kill him with a single blow. Such a person wants to be on par with my master and even brags that he's better than my master. What a joke. Zhuang Xiao mocked. Many people also sneered. Indeed, Ren Qianxing wasn't qualified to be compared to Lu Ming. They weren't on the same level at all. Especially those who thought that Ren Qianxing had surpassed Lu Ming and thought that Ren Qianxing was the best in history. Their faces were flushed red and they were too ashamed to show their faces. Ren Qianxing wasn't even worthy to carry Lu Ming's shoes. Legend, he's still a legend. An old man sighed. Everyone immediately nodded. They were touched. Yes, a legend was still a legend. Back then, Lu Ming was the legend of the divine wilderness continent. He rose from the wilderness and in the end, he was able to unify the divine wilderness. He was an unprecedented legend in the divine wilderness continent. Now, after cultivating in the Yuan continent for more than 10 years, his combat strength had reached an unimaginable level. Even someone as strong as Sakura was killed in a single move. Now, Lu Ming was still a legend. Let's go. At this moment, the people from the monarch race and the remaining people from the evil god tribe reacted. They all rushed into the sky, wanting to escape. You want to leave? All of you can stay here. Lu Ming said coldly and punched out. Roar. Roar. This punch was filled with endless runes. Then, the runes condensed into true dragons that pounced out with a roar. The monarch race's martial emperors had already been killed by Lu Ming. Those below the martial emperor realm couldn't even withstand a single blow. When the true dragons pounced out, regardless of whether they were martial emperors or absolute saints, they were all killed instantly. They couldn't resist. Screams rang out. Not long after, it quieted down. The experts from the monarch race and evil god tribe were all killed. Plop. At this moment, Li Ku directly knelt down and screamed, Lu Ming, no, 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 Alliance leader Lu, spare my life. Just now, his master had also been killed by Lu Ming. He was scared to death now. Alliance leader Lu, spare me. Ren Qianxing also begged. Fatty, Xiao Shan, Xiao Ru, I'll leave these people to you. Lu Ming said. Okay. Fatty carried his battle axe and rushed out. No, I don't want to die. Ren Qianxing roared and turned to run. Li Ku was the same. Chapter 2185. Now, everyone knew why the Fatties, Zhuang Xiaoshans, and the rest's combat abilities had skyrocketed. It was all because of Lu Ming. At the same time, everyone's respect for Lu Ming increased. In just a few months' time, Fatty, Zhuang Xiaoshan, and the others' cultivation had increased so much that they could easily crush Ren Qianxing and the others. It was unbelievable. They thought of that sentence again. Legend, he was still a legend. At this moment, Lu Ming looked at the Divine Bull Palace and the Barbarian Dragon Palace Master. Greetings, Alliance Master Lu. The Divine Bull Palace Master and the Barbarian Dragon Palace Master felt a chill run down their spines. They had an ugly smile on their faces as they came over to greet Lu Ming. Just now, they wanted to run away, but Lu Ming was too terrifying. Where could they run to? Lu Ming would probably catch up and kill them. Therefore, they decided to stay and show their goodwill to Lu Ming. I'm curious, which part of Yuan continent are you from? Lu Ming looked at the two palace masters. Alliance Master Lu, I'm from the land of Divine Beast. The Divine Bull Palace Master said. I'm from Sky Barbarian Land. The Barbarian Dragon Palace Master said. How did you get here? Why did you suddenly come to a remote place like the Divine Wilderness? Lu Ming asked again. He was curious about this and wanted to find out. If they could come, others could come too. Lu Ming was worried about this. It would be troublesome if stronger existences, such as high-level Void Emperors or True Emperors, came. I once found an ancient map by accident. The ancient map recorded that there was a paradise in the barren land. The cultivation environment there was better than many sacred grounds in Yuan continent. I followed the map and found an ancient teleportation formation. That's how I came to the Divine Wilderness. The Divine Bull Palace Master said. Me too. The Full Dragon Palace Master nodded, similar to the Divine Bull Palace Master. Where's your map? Let me have a look. Lu Ming said. The Divine Bull Palace Master and Full Dragon Palace Master looked at each other, then each took out a jade talisman and handed it to Lu Ming. The others sighed. They were the two overlords from Yuan land. Previously, they had occupied an area and were basically the rulers of the divine region. But now, they were like two servants who were trembling in fear in front of Lu Ming. The difference between before and after was simply too great. This made countless people sigh with emotion. Lu Ming took the two jade talismans and scanned them with his spiritual sense. Sure enough, they were two ancient maps. Apart from you, no one else knows? Lu Ming asked. No, I didn't tell anyone. He only brought some of his subordinates to the Divine Wilderness. Me too. Both of them shook their heads. The two of them were ordinary Emperor-class forces in the Yuan continent. They were similar to the Emperor clans. Lu Ming pondered. Alliance leader Lu, since you're back, how about we split the Divine Wilderness equally with the Dragon Alliance? The master of the Divine Bull Palace cautiously glanced at Lu Ming and suggested. Lu Ming smiled faintly and said, You still want to divide the Divine Wilderness? The master of the Divine Bull Palace and Barbarian Dragon Palace Master's faces turned ugly. In the end, the master of the Divine Bull Palace gritted his teeth and said, Alliance leader Lu, I'm willing to join the Dragon Alliance and work for you. I'm willing too. They had no choice but to lower their heads under the eaves. Now, they could only do so. Oh, join the Dragon Alliance. Lu Ming touched his chin and pondered. That's fine too. After a while, Lu Ming nodded. The master of the Divine Bull Palace and Full Dragon Palace Master were delighted. A cold light flashed in the depths of their eyes. As long as they could keep Lu Ming calm, they would send people back to Yuanland and invite more experts. At that time, they did not believe that they could not kill Lu Ming. But at this moment, Lu Ming made his move. It was very sudden. The masters of the Divine Bull Palace and Barbarian Dragon Palace were not prepared at all. Bang! Bang! Lu Ming threw out two palm strikes, bombarding the two of them. Their bodies were directly penetrated. A terrifying destructive force crazily rushed into their bodies. The two of them opened their eyes wide and looked at Lu Ming in disbelief. I still believe in dead people. At the martial emperor realm, the power of oaths is already too weak. If you secretly return to Yuan land and find even stronger experts, wouldn't I be putting myself in danger? Therefore, you'd better be on your way, Lu Ming said coldly. After saying that, his palm strike exploded and the masters of the two forces turned into ashes. Let's go. The remaining people of the two forces were shocked. Some of them reacted and wanted to run away. Kill. After killing the masters of the two forces, Lu Ming did not stop and directly attacked the masters of the two forces. These two forces had martial Emperor realm experts, but they could not withstand a single blow from Lu Ming and were instantly killed. Then, those below the martial Emperor realm did not escape and were all killed in the blink of an eye. This was a shocking scene. The three forces of Yuan land that had been dominating the divine wilderness for many years were turned into ashes because of Lu Ming's return. Greetings, Alliance Master. At this moment, everyone in the Dragon Alliance knelt down and paid their respects to Lu Ming. They understood that the Dragon Alliance was going to unify the divine wilderness again. No one could rival them. Those who were not part of the Dragon Alliance or those who had betrayed the Dragon Alliance were trembling in fear. From today onwards, the Dragon Alliance will be rebuilt and reorganize. Lu Ming's voice echoed throughout the place. Leave all of this to Xiel Wan, Xie Jiuyang and the others. I will go and eliminate the remaining members of the three forces. After Lu Ming finished speaking, he took a step forward and rushed into the depths of the Dragon Emperor city. He spread out his spiritual consciousness to search for the remaining members of the Emperor race and Evil God race. Once he found them, he would kill them on the spot. After that, Lu Ming rushed to the Eastern Wilderness to kill the remaining members of the Divine Bull Palace. Then, he went to the Southern Underworld to kill the remaining members of the Barbarian Dragon Palace. After that, Lu Ming rushed out of the sea. The ancient teleportation array that was connected to the Yuanlu continent was not the only one in the ancient city of the Divine Ruins. There were also teleportation arrays in other continents. Lu Ming wanted to find all of them and destroy them to prevent more experts from the Yuanlu continent from coming. In the following month, Lu Ming traveled through the Divine Ruins and found more than 10 teleportation altars. All of them were destroyed by Lu Ming, leaving only the teleportation arrays that led to the Kang continent, Cloud continent and Emperor continent. At this time, the Dragon Alliance had been reorganized. Some of the people who had betrayed the Dragon Alliance because of the arrival of the Yuanlu continent's forces were killed. However, more people joined the Dragon Alliance. Now that Lu Ming had returned and killed the three forces of the Yuanlu continent, everyone was shocked. It could be said that the Dragon Alliance with Lu Ming was the true overlord. No one could shake them. Many experts joined the Dragon Alliance. The Dragon Emperor city was rebuilt again. When Lu Ming returned to the Dragon Emperor city, another huge statue of Lu Ming was erected. Compared to before, it was bigger and more majestic. After Lu Ming returned, he held a banquet and brought Li Ping, Lu Yuntian, and the others back to the Dragon Emperor city. After that, Lu Ming stayed in the Dragon Emperor city and took out a large amount of resources to give to Xiel Wan and the others. Chapter 2186. After that, Lu Ming had Xiel Wan, Hua Kai, Xie Jiuyang, Yang Guangtu, and the others enter the Great Pill Development Furnace to refine their spiritual bodies. The spiritual bodies of the Dragon Alliance's upper echelons were greatly strengthened and their cultivation speed increased rapidly. Of course, Lu Ming also tempered Li Ping's and Lu Yuntian's bodies and upgraded their bloodline level. Their cultivation levels were also skyrocketing. The resources that Lu Ming brought back were too abundant, especially the Nirvana pills. Lu Ming bought a lot of them. The bloodlines of the Dragon Alliance's disciples increased rapidly and they evolved continuously. In addition to the excellent cultivation environment, the strength of the entire Dragon Alliance was increasing rapidly. In the past, when the Divine Wilderness continent underwent a metamorphosis, the cultivation environment had changed drastically. However, they did not have any cultivation techniques or divine abilities, so it was difficult for them to increase their strength. But now, it was the real explosion. In order to obtain domain martial techniques, divine abilities, and various pills, more people joined the Dragon Alliance. The Dragon Alliance's influence expanded rapidly and covered every corner. Not only that, but Xiel Wan and the others also sent out armies to conquer the other continents. The Divine Ruins continent was completely under the Dragon Alliance's control. Time flew and half a year passed. In this half a year, other than helping others refine their spiritual bodies, Lu Ming did not stop cultivating. He focused on comprehending the law of alchemy, and his understanding of the law of alchemy became deeper and deeper. Let's go to Nine Dragon City to take a look. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. After returning for so long, Lu Ming had not been to Nine Dragon City. He was very curious about what had happened there. Lu Ming tore through the air at an astonishing speed. Soon, he entered Eastern Wasteland and flew toward Nine Dragon City. The origin chi in Eastern Wasteland was even denser. Countless people were cultivating in seclusion in Eastern Wasteland. The closer he got to Nine Dragon City, the denser the origin chi became. What a strong killing intent! When he arrived outside Nine Dragon City, Lu Ming frowned. He could feel the killing intent in Nine Dragon City. In this kind of murderous aura, those who did not have a high enough cultivation base would not be able to survive in Nine Dragon City. Their minds would be affected by the murderous aura, and they might even go mad and die. Lu Ming felt that even a bright saint expert would find it difficult to gain a foothold in Nine Dragon City. One would need to be at least a great saint to gain a foothold. Currently, there was no one in the Nine Dragons City. The original residents of Nine Dragons City had long since moved out. I heard that the killing intent fluctuates. Every once in a while, it will disappear for a period of time. At that time, countless people will rush to Nine Dragons City to cultivate. Lu Ming muttered. He had heard of this long ago. No one knows why. However, this murderous aura did not affect Lu Ming at all. Lu Ming stepped out, entering the Nine Dragons City. In the past, there were 9 enormous dragon veins entrenched in the Nine Dragons City, and at the head of each dragon vein, there was a divine 9-dragon cauldron. 9 dragon veins, 6 on the outside and 3 in the middle. But now, there were only 3 dragon veins left in the Nine Dragons City. The 6 on the outside had already flown away. It was said that they flew into the middle of the 3 dragon veins in the middle and disappeared. Lu Ming went all the way to the center of Nine Dragons City. In the center of Nine Dragons City, there were 3 enormous dragon veins entrenched. The 3 dragon heads faced each other, and there was a large open space in the middle. Back then, the Emperor Sky Divine Palace was built in this location. But now, the Emperor Sky Divine Palace had long disappeared, and in its place was a huge cave. Lu Ming stood at the entrance of the cave and looked in. Inside the cave, there was a vast expanse of white mist. This was the result of yuan qi reaching a certain level of concentration. Extremely rich yuan qi continuously seeped out of the cave. Lu Ming looked carefully and realized that this should be a passageway, but he did not know where it led to. The rich origin qi was surging from the opposite side. Moreover, the fluctuations of the laws were also coming from the opposite side, stabilizing the divine wilderness continent. At the same time, the rich killing intent was also emanating from the passageway. Roar. At this moment, a dragon roar resounded, shaking heaven and earth. Lu Ming was alarmed because this dragon roar came from one of the dragon veins. Roar. Roar. Then, the dragon roar continued, resounding through the sky. Then, the earth rumbled and shook. Lu Ming realized that one of the dragon veins was moving. Rumble. One of the dragon veins kept shaking, and in the end, it moved like a real dragon. The dragon vein, which was thousands of miles long, twisted and turned like a huge real dragon. In the end, it soared into the sky, and its roar resounded through the sky, spreading far and wide. At this moment, people outside Nine Dragons City could hear the commotion even though they were thousands of miles away. Nine Dragons City's dragon veins are acting strangely again. I guess another dragon vein is flying away. Every time a dragon vein flies away, the killing intent in Nine Dragons City will weaken rapidly. Let's go, we can enter Nine Dragons City to cultivate for a while and look for spiritual herbs and sacred herb. At this moment, countless people rushed towards Nine Dragons City. Roar. Roar. In Nine Dragons City, the dragon vein shrank rapidly, and one could clearly see the Nine Dragons cauldron above the dragon vein. In the end, the dragon vein roared and rushed into the passage, disappearing from sight. Another dragon vein flew away. What is on the other side of the passage? Lu Ming was extremely curious and wanted to rush in to find out, but he held back in the end. What if he couldn't return after entering? He had just returned to the divine wilderness and didn't want to leave yet. Lu Ming planned to wait for a period of time until the divine wilderness's situation stabilized, then he would leave and enter the passage to investigate. Right, let's take a look at the blood pool. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Then, he took a step forward and disappeared. Not long after, he arrived at the blood pool. The blood pool was located on a cliff on a mountain. On one of the cliffs, there were 3 words, blood pool. Beside the 3 words, there was a platform that protruded from the cliff. Behind it was a cave, which was the entrance to the blood pool. Looking at the entrance of the blood pool, Lu Ming reminisced. Back then, not long after they arrived at Nine Dragons City, they were hunted down. Kenfei Rys' cultivation was crippled and he was seriously injured. They brought Kenfei Ry to the blood pool, but later, a wisp of remnant soul in the blood pool took away Kenfei Ry and there was no trace of him until now. Today, Lu Ming was going to explore the blood pool. The blood pool contained a strong murderous aura and killing intent. Back then, Lu Ming couldn't go deep at all. Before Lu Ming went to the Yuanlu, he was able to kill a martial emperor with his cultivation. Lu Ming had also been to the blood pool once, but the blood pool was unfathomable. The deeper he went, the stronger the killing intent. Even with Lu Ming's cultivation back then, it was difficult for him to explore the bottom. But now, Lu Ming's cultivation was many times stronger than before, so Lu Ming wanted to explore it again. Lu Ming moved and entered the entrance. But once he entered, Lu Ming was stunned. Chapter 2187. There was not a single drop of blood in the blood pool. It had completely dried up, leaving behind only a pitch-black cave. Lu Ming was dumbfounded. Could this be related to the change in heaven and earth? A thought flashed through Lu Ming's mind. Then, Lu Ming rushed into the cave and flew down. The cave was very deep. Lu Ming kept going down. After 100 miles, the cave slanted in one direction. That direction was clearly leading to the center of Nine Dragons City. Lu Ming kept flying. In the end, he saw a huge passageway. It was filled with dense white fog. Isn't this the passage in the center of Nine Dragons City? The blood pool is connected to the passage in Nine Dragons City. Could it be that Kenfei Ry is in the depths of the passage, in another world on the other side of the passage? Lu Ming guessed. Lu Ming pondered for a moment and did not go in. He went back the way he came. Not long after Lu Ming returned to Nine Dragons City, he realized that the murderous aura in Nine Dragons City was getting weaker. He believed that soon, many people would rush into Nine Dragons City to cultivate. Lu Ming did not stay. He left Nine Dragons City and returned to the Imperial Dragon City. In the following days, Lu Ming would occasionally give public lectures. Countless people from the Dragon Alliance would come to listen to his lectures to improve their cultivation. At the same time, Autumn Moon would also give lectures occasionally. When everyone knew that Autumn Moon was also a martial emperor, the divine wilderness continent was shocked again. With the help of many resources, the Dragon Alliance had more and more experts. Everyone's cultivation was also getting stronger. There were constantly people breaking through to the martial royal realm and the saint realm. The main reason was that Lu Ming's resources were too abundant. In addition, Lu Ming also took out a large number of golden crow corpses and divine wolf corpses. These were the corpses of the Golden Crow clan and Heavenly Wolf Pagoda's experts. Many of them were absolute saints, empty emperors, and true emperors. The corpses of such experts would not deteriorate even after thousands of years. They would remain fresh. Of course, the spiritual essence of a god emperor's body was too strong. Everyone used the golden crow meat and divine wolf meat to make meat soup. Even so, it was still very nutritious. As long as they drank a bowl of it, they would be filled with spiritual essence. At the same time, Lu Ming would select some people to enter the mountain and river diagram and cultivate under the Enlightenment ancient tree. They would comprehend concepts and laws. In this way, his cultivation would increase very quickly. For example, the siblings Zhuang Xiaoshan and Zhuang Xiero quickly reached the saint realm. Lu Ming's father was Lu Yuntian. Lu Ming had spent a lot of resources to make Lu Yuntian's cultivation skyrocket to the martial emperor realm. He was constantly moving towards the saint realm. Li Ping didn't possess any natural talent in cultivation, and she'd forcefully attained the domain enlightened spirit god realm with the help of Lu Ming's resources. So, even if she attained the martial monarch realm, she wouldn't be far away. The cultivation of Hua Kai and the others also skyrocketed. As for Xiel Wan, Xia Jiuyang, Yang Kuangtu, and the others, their talents were very high to begin with. The fact that they were able to achieve so much in such an environment was enough to explain everything. Now, with the help of various conditions, their cultivation had also improved rapidly. As for Lu Ming himself, he didn't stop either. He had been comprehending the laws of alchemy. However, the further one cultivated the laws of alchemy, the slower the speed of improvement. Therefore, Lu Ming had comprehended a new kind of law, the law of tools. The three kinds of laws that had evolved from the path of inscription were the laws of formations, the laws of alchemy, and the laws of tools. Now, Lu Ming had comprehended all three kinds of laws. As for the other laws that had reached perfection, Lu Ming didn't bother about them for now. He focused on comprehending the laws of alchemy and the laws of tools. In the blink of an eye, it had been 2 years since Lu Ming returned to the divine desolate continent. In the past 2 years, the Dragon Alliance had been thriving and growing stronger. Lu Ming's cultivation had also improved significantly. The laws of alchemy had reached 90% mastery. The laws of tools had also reached 80% mastery. Lu Ming's combat strength had increased greatly compared to 2 years ago. It's time to make a trip to the eastern wilderness. I haven't seen senior sister Mulins for many years. I wonder how she is now. On a mountain peak, Lu Ming looked at the eastern wilderness and muttered. Actually, he had wanted to see Mulins for a long time. However, he had been hesitating previously. How could he not know Mulins's thoughts? Back then, Mulins had avoided him. As for him, he didn't know how to face Mulins, so he had never gone to see her. However, Mulins had helped him a lot back then. If not for Mulins' recommendation, he wouldn't have been able to enter the Di Tian Divine Guards back then, and he might not have been able to achieve what he had today. Now, he had made up his mind. Since he had returned, what was the harm in meeting him? Taking a step forward, Lu Ming headed towards the eastern wilderness. Soon, he arrived at the Mu family's residence. Lu Ming, brother Lu. When he arrived at the Mu family's residence, he saw Mu Zheng and Mu Shuyuan. The two of them smiled and greeted Lu Ming. Then, he saw Mulins's father, Mu Tian, and Mulins's grandfather, Yang Lan. Senior Yang, Senior Mu. Lu Ming greeted them with a smile. Now, the eastern wilderness's earth qi was extremely rich. Even though they weren't very talented, their cultivation had skyrocketed. When they saw that Lu Ming didn't put on airs as the leader of the Dragon Alliance, they relaxed. They set up a banquet and chatted with Lu Ming. Senior Mu, is senior sister Mulins here? Lu Ming asked. These words caused Mu Tian, Yang Lan, Mu Zheng, and Mu Shuyuan to fall silent. Lu Ming had a bad feeling. What happened to senior sister Mulins? Lu Ming asked again. Sigh. That girl is too stubborn. Yang Lan suddenly sighed. Senior, what happened? Lu Ming asked. The bad feeling in his heart was getting stronger. That girl is too stubborn. She has always wanted to catch up to you and not be too far behind. But with her talent, how could she catch up to you? But this time, the change of the world gave her hope. Lu Ming, you should have been to Nine Dragons City, right? Yang Lan sighed and asked. That's right. Lu Ming nodded. After a while, the murderous aura in Nine Dragons City would weaken and people could enter. Whether it's origin qi or killing qi, they're all gushing out from that passage. Therefore, some people speculate that the other end of the passage must be a supreme holy land for cultivation. Some even say that anyone who can pass through the passage to the other side will be able to obtain a supreme opportunity, Yang Lan explained. Could it be? Lu Ming thought of something and his heart skipped a beat. That's right. That girl entered the passage alone and didn't come back. That was before you came back. Yang Lan sighed. Mu Tian and the others also sighed, saying that there was a supreme opportunity on the other side of the passage was just a legend. But Mulins wanted to seize this opportunity. She wanted to take a gamble. Otherwise, she knew that she would never be able to catch up to Lu Ming. She has been gone for almost 6 years. Mu Tian sighed. His eyes were filled with longing and worry. Senior Sister Mulins, why did you do this? Chapter 2188. Mulins had first met Lu Ming in Firestorm City. At that time, Lu Ming had just stepped onto the path of cultivation. In the early stages of Lu Ming's cultivation, Mulins had given him a lot of help. However, as time passed, Lu Ming's cultivation continued to improve. The gap between the two grew larger and their relationship seemed to be drifting apart. Senior Mu Tian, Senior Yang Lan, don't worry. I will definitely find Senior Mulins, Lu Ming said firmly. Lu Ming, what are you trying to do? Do you also want to enter that passage? Don't act rashly. We don't know where that passage leads to and what dangers there are. If you rashly enter, I'm afraid you will put yourself in danger, Yang Lan advised. Senior, don't worry. I'm confident, Lu Ming said. In fact, he had long wanted to explore that passage. However, when he had just returned to the Divine Wilderness, he wanted to spend more time with Lu Yuntian and Li Ping because he didn't know where that passage led to. What if he took a long time to return? Moreover, during this period of time, he had used the Origin Stone to let the Heavenly Emperor's body absorb. The energy stored in the Heavenly Emperor's body had already exceeded 10%. Now that he could control the Heavenly Emperor's body, he was much more confident. Especially now that he heard that Mulins had entered that passage 6 years ago, Lu Ming was even more determined to explore it. The few of them chatted for a while more before Lu Ming bade farewell. Before he left, Lu Ming left behind a storage ring. Lu Ming stored a lot of cultivation resources. Lu Ming didn't enter that passage immediately. Before he left, he had to make some arrangements. First, he went to the Divine Ruins continent and returned to the Kang state through the teleportation array. He told the Cloud Dragon Valley Master about the Divine Wilderness continent and allowed some talented geniuses of the Dragon God Valley to cultivate in the Divine Wilderness. At the same time, both sides could take care of each other. After that, Lu Ming returned to Dragon Emperor City and told Ciel Wan about what happened in Dragon God Valley in Tsangzhou Province. Then, he left his remaining puppets, 1 Martial Emperor Realm puppet and 18 Quasi-Emperor Realm puppets, in the Dragon Emperor City to guard it. After that, he bid farewell to his parents on Autumn Moon, saying that he would be away for a while. After making all the necessary arrangements, Lu Ming once again went to 9 Dragons City. Now, there was only 1 dragon vein left here. Half a year ago, another dragon vein rushed into the passageway and disappeared. No one knew when the last dragon vein would charge in. Senior Sister Mulins, don't let anything happen to you, Lu Ming muttered, then took a step forward and rushed into the tunnel. The passageway was filled with white mist, greatly obstructing one's vision. Even Lu Ming could only see a few dozen kilometers ahead. This passageway was very large, at least a few thousand miles wide. Lu Ming figured out the direction and flew toward the passageway. The surroundings were silent. Lu Ming flew for 3 full days, but he still had not reached the end of the passageway. Suddenly, after Lu Ming flew for a distance, his vision suddenly widened. The origin chi here was no longer in the form of mist, but in the form of liquid. Strands of liquid origin chi drifted about like ribbons. Without the origin chi mist obstructing his vision, Lu Ming could see the surroundings clearly. Looking at the surroundings, Lu Ming was shocked. The passageway was no longer surrounded by stone-like walls, but pitch black. Moreover, spatial energy storms were constantly surging. However, there seemed to be a layer of barrier on the walls of the passageway, blocking the spatial energy outside the passageway. This was a void passageway. Lu Ming was shocked. This place was definitely not in the Divine Wilderness continent, but in the chaotic void. Where did it lead to? Lu Ming observed with rapt attention before continuing forward. He seemed to be traversing the void. In the void passageway, although he had only walked a mile, in reality, he had already traveled an unknown distance. Just like that, Lu Ming traveled for another 7 days. Boom, boom. Suddenly, a series of explosions came from ahead, as if someone was fighting. He was almost at the end. Lu Ming's eyes lit up as he increased his speed. Boom, boom. As Lu Ming moved forward, the explosions in front of him became more and more intense, terrifying and astonishing. Waves of terrifying auras surged from ahead, making Lu Ming tremble with fear. He did not know how far away they were, but Lu Ming already had such a feeling. What kind of cultivation level were the people fighting? Lu Ming's eyes were somewhat solemn, but since he was already here, there was no reason to turn back. No matter what, he had to go forward and see what was ahead. Lu Ming continued to move forward. There were continuous booming sounds ahead. Roar, roar. Suddenly, a dragon's roar came from behind Lu Ming. Lu Ming was shocked. Wasn't that the direction of the divine wilderness continent? Roar, roar. The roars of dragons echoed in the air. Soon, a massive true dragon flew over. It's indeed the dragon vein. Lu Ming's eyes moved. Behind him was the last dragon vein of Nine Dragons City. On top of the dragon vein's head was a huge divine nine-dragon cauldron. It was flying over at an astonishing speed. Lu Ming hurriedly moved aside, otherwise he would be hit by the dragon vein. The dragon vein whizzed past. Lu Ming seized the opportunity and leaped onto the dragon vein. The dragon vein was originally a huge dragon-shaped mountain range. It was extremely huge and spanned tens of millions of miles. But now, it had shrunk by many times. Lu Ming landed on the dragon vein and followed it forward. Not long after, he saw light in front of him. He had reached the exit. But here, an even more shocking explosion came, shaking heaven and earth. The dragon vein let out a long roar as it charged out of the cave. The moment he rushed out of the cave, Lu Ming jumped down from the dragon vein. He found that outside the cave was a pitch-black land. Lu Ming landed on the ground and looked ahead. His pupils dilated rapidly. In the void in front of him, there were 8 huge true dragons. He didn't know how big they were as they traversed between heaven and earth. On top of each of the 8 true dragons, there was a huge cauldron that emitted a bright light. At this moment, the 9th dragon vein rushed over and also turned into a huge true dragon. Buzz! The divine 9-dragon cauldron vibrated and the 9 cauldrons emitted a bright light, resonating with each other. In front of the 9 true dragons, there were 2 huge demonic shadows. Their bodies were as tall as the heavens, standing between the heavens and the earth, all the way above the clouds. The aura that these 2 demonic shadows exuded was earth-shattering. Although Lu Ming did not know how far away they were, Lu Ming still felt a great sense of horror. He felt that it was hard to resist and that he could not resist them. Lu Ming didn't feel this feeling even from Heavenly Emperor Kong Yin. This is the evil god race, Lu Ming stared. Although they were very far away, judging from their appearance, those 2 demonic shadows belonged to the evil god race. Such a terrifying evil god race. Could this be the heaven realm? A thought flashed through Lu Ming's mind. Boom, boom. The 9 huge true dragons gathered. The divine 9-dragon cauldron shone and fought with the 2 demonic shadows. The scene was world-shaking. Chapter 2189. Roar. A heaven-shaking dragon roar was heard. This heaven-shaking dragon roar actually came from the depths of the firmament. Lu Ming looked up and his eyes widened involuntarily. High in the sky, there was a true dragon. It was unknown how big it was, but its body circled and covered the sky. The true dragon's aura was even more astonishing and unpredictable. The true dragon, on the other hand, had encountered a powerful foe. It was fighting with a gigantic demonic shadow. You can't guard this passage. In the near future, our army will enter the primordial realm en masse. A rumbling voice came from the demonic shadow in the sky. Don't even think about it. The true dragon roared and fought with the demonic shadow. That aura was too terrifying. Even though he was far away, Lu Ming still felt immense pressure, as if he was about to kneel down. Lu Ming unleashed all his strength and gritted his teeth to withstand it. Boom, boom. The battle became more and more intense. You want to stop me with just a drop of blood? Kill. The demonic shadow in the sky roared and attacked wildly, forcing the true dragon to retreat. In the distance, the Nine Dragons' dragon vein carried the divine Nine-Dragon cauldron and fought with the two demonic shadows. It was also very intense. A bunch of losers want to stop us. Kill them all. A voice came from afar. Afterward, Lu Ming saw another demonic figure. It stood tall and upright as it walked over. Its vast and terrifying aura caused the entire world to tremble. As soon as this figure arrived, it attacked the true dragon in the sky. Facing the two demonic shadows, the true dragon was no match and retreated. And the direction it retreated in was Lu Ming's direction. Lu Ming's expression was ugly. He turned and ran, wanting to rush into the void passage and escape back to the divine wilderness continent. He did not expect to encounter a great battle the moment he arrived. Every living being that attacked just now was terrifying to the extreme. Their combat strength was unbelievably powerful, even stronger than Heavenly Emperor Kong Yin that he had seen. They were definitely peerless powerhouses. He did not run. As long as a wisp of energy hit him, he would die. Little guy, don't run there. This passage can't be left. I'll send you away. At this moment, an old voice rang in Lu Ming's ears. Then, a beam of energy shrouded Lu Ming's body. Then, Lu Ming's body was thrown out. Lu Ming was speechless. He wanted to return to the divine wilderness. Why was he thrown out? Then, Lu Ming saw a shocking scene. The huge true dragon suddenly turned its head and slammed its claws into the tunnel. The tunnel violently trembled, then collapsed and caved in. Then, the 9 divine Nine-Dragon cauldrons smashed into the passage. Rumble. The passage was constantly collapsing and the space was exploding. Don't even think about destroying the passage. Those demonic shadows roared and suddenly attacked. Heaven and earth trembled, and endless crazy winds blew. The terrifying destructive force swept in all directions and Lu Ming was instantly engulfed in it. Lu Ming's body shook violently and he spat out a mouthful of blood. The energy that enveloped his body was radiating. 2 small true dragons were swimming around and blocking the energy outside. Otherwise, Lu Ming would have been turned into ashes in an instant. Lu Ming had a feeling that even if he used his Heavenly Emperor body, it would be useless and he would not be able to block it. Even so, there was a trace of vibrating energy that passed through the energy shield and acted on Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming's body almost exploded. Crack. Lu Ming's bones made cracking sounds. Some of his bones were broken and some of his muscles were torn apart. Lu Ming was seriously injured and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Boom. Roar. At the passage, there were continuous rumbles and dragon roars. Terrifying energy swept out in all directions. The space was torn apart like paper and exploded into pieces. Lu Ming was swept away by the void energy storm. His body was involuntarily pulled away from this place. Slowly, the intense rumbling could no longer be heard. Lu Ming did not know how far he was swept away. Then, he fell heavily to the ground. The energy on his body had also disappeared. Lu Ming spat out another mouthful of blood and looked around. This was a desolate land. There were potholes everywhere. There was no vegetation at all. It was dead silent and there were no living creatures. Other than the sound of the wind, there was no sound. Senior Sister Mulin's. Lu Ming was worried. The moment he arrived, he encountered such a thing. A few supreme existences were fighting. If not for that energy enveloping him, he would have been turned into ashes. He wondered what the situation was like when Mulins came here. Then, Lu Ming thought of those supreme existences. It was obvious that those huge demonic shadows belonged to the evil god race. The evil god race must have discovered the void passage and wanted to snatch it. However, they were stopped by the 9 dragon veins and the huge true dragon. In the end, seeing that they could not stop them, the true dragon and the 9 dragon veins destroyed the passage, not allowing them to pass. It seems that the divine wilderness continent is connected to this place because of that passage. The origin chi here is poured into the divine wilderness, causing the origin chi of the divine wilderness continent to be extremely rich, Lu Ming pondered because he realized that the origin chi here was extremely rich. It was even richer than the ancient Moon Holy Land. Moreover, the space was filled with powerful killing intent. It was similar to the killing intent he felt in Nine Dragons City. It seems that the good days of the divine wilderness continent are coming to an end. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. The passage exploded and the two places could not be connected. Without the origin chi here flowing into the divine wilderness, the origin chi of the divine wilderness would soon dry up and return to its original state. However, it was 1,000 times, 10,000 times better than the evil god race invading the primordial realm through the passage. Once the evil god race invaded through this passage, the divine wilderness would be the first to bear the brunt. Existences like those from before were too terrifying. They could probably destroy the divine wilderness continent with a single slap. No one would be able to escape. Now, the cultivation conditions would at most worsen. Moreover, the Dragon Alliance had a large amount of resources and origin stones left by Lu Ming. It was enough for them to cultivate for a long time. Moreover, Kang State's Dragon God Valley would send people to the divine wilderness. When the cultivation conditions of the divine wilderness continent worsened, some people from the Dragon Alliance could also go to Kang State to cultivate. Compared to before, it was much better. Where is this? Is it not in the Grand Pure Sky domain? Lu Ming thought of another problem. Lu Ming had heard Uncle Kong, Emperor Wu Xiong, and the others mention it before. Now, only the Grand Pure Sky domain was left in the 9 heavens domain of the Heaven Realm. The other 8 heavens domains were occupied by the outsiders. The Heaven Realm guarded the passage to the Grand Pure Sky domain and fought with the outsiders for countless years. The outsiders did not invade the Grand Pure Sky domain. This was because only the Grand Pure Sky domain was connected to the primordial realm. However, if this was the Grand Pure Sky domain, how did the outsiders get in? They would definitely be blocked by the Heaven Realm's experts, right? Chapter 2190. This is troublesome. Lu Ming sighed. If this was not the Taiching heavenly domain but another heavenly domain, it would be troublesome. The other heavenly domains were completely occupied by the evil god tribe. How could he break out, head to the Taiching heavenly domain, or return to the primordial realm? Lu Ming furrowed his brows deeply. Forget it, let's heal first. Lu Ming shook his head, sat down cross-legged, and began to heal his injuries. His body's recovery ability was amazing. In less than half a day, his injuries were healed, and his cultivation was restored to its peak. Let's observe the surroundings first. Lu Ming intended to observe for a while to see where this place was. Lu Ming randomly chose a direction and flew forward. Looking around, all he could see was desolation. Ravines and pits covered the entire ground. There were no living creatures, nor were there any plants. There was only the howling wind. Could this be an ancient battlefield? Looking at the ravines and pits on the ground, it looked like they were left behind by a great battle. I wonder if that passage has been destroyed. Lu Ming could not help but think of that passage. Now, he hoped that the passage had been destroyed. If it was not, it would be over if the alien race rushed in. However, before Lu Ming was swept away, he saw that the entire passage had exploded and collapsed. It should have been destroyed. Kill. Suddenly, a roar sounded, and a shocking murderous intent spread between heaven and earth. Lu Ming was shocked, and his hair stood on end. The sacred power in his body involuntarily circulated, and his body turned into a beam of light, retreating rapidly. However, no one chased after him. Kill. That voice sounded from high up in the sky. Lu Ming could not help but look in that direction. In the sky, light spread, and a figure appeared in the sky. This figure was clad in iron armor, holding a long spear, exuding a shocking murderous intent as he roared. This is not a physical body. Lu Ming was a little stunned. He realized that this figure was not a physical body, nor was it formed by any energy. It was just a shadow. Kill, kill, kill. That figure shouted several times in succession. Terrifying killing intent rushed into the heavens. Then, the light distorted and that figure disappeared like a phantom. What is this? Lu Ming was flabbergasted. This figure was filled with terrifying killing intent. It gave people the feeling that it was a terrifying expert. However, it didn't have any hostility towards Lu Ming. It also acted as if it didn't see Lu Ming. After roaring a few times, it disappeared. Could it be that the experts who died in battle back then left behind an indestructible mark? Lu Ming guessed. Lu Ming observed for a while and did not find anything unusual, so he continued to move forward. Whoosh! Whoosh! This time, not long after Lu Ming moved forward, 2 streaks of light flew towards him. 2 humans. Lu Ming's eyes suddenly lit up. The 2 streaks of light were actually 2 humans and not from the evil god tribe. This made Lu Ming overjoyed. The fact that the humans could come here meant that Lu Ming's previous speculation was wrong. This was not the 8 heavens domain that was occupied by the evil god tribe. The 2 of them obviously saw Lu Ming and flew towards Lu Ming. When they got close, the streaks of light disappeared, revealing 2 figures. One of them was a young man in a blue robe. He was tall and straight and exuded a powerful aura. The other was a middle-aged man in battle armor. The aura he exuded was also extremely powerful. A 3-star illusionary emperor and a 4-star illusionary emperor. Lu Ming's eyes moved slightly. That young man was a 3-star illusionary emperor. He was so young and had reached this level. He was definitely a genius. As for the middle-aged man, he was a 4-star illusionary emperor. The 2 of them carefully sized up Lu Ming. The young man was surprised. "Brother, how should I address you? I have never seen you in the military camp before." The blue-robed young man cupped his fists. Military camp. Lu Ming's mind spun rapidly. He then cupped his fists and said, "I am Lu Ming. I am not from the military camp. I was adventuring in a secret place and accidentally got swept into a spatial storm. I was swept here." Lu Ming lied. "Oh." The young man and middle-aged man exchanged a look. It was unknown whether they believed him or not. "May I ask where this place is?" Lu Ming asked. "You really don't know?" The blue-robed young man asked. "I really don't know." Lu Ming nodded. "It seems that Brother Lu really doesn't know. Then I will tell Brother Lu. This is a battlefield between the Taiching Heaven Domain and the Hunyuan Heaven Domain," the blue-robed young man said. "A battlefield between the Taiching Heaven Domain and the Hunyuan Heaven Domain?" Lu Ming's heart shook. A puzzled look flashed across his eyes. "Brother Lu, don't tell me you don't know about the battlefield between the 2 heavens?" The puzzled look in the blue-robed young man's eyes grew even stronger. "To be honest, I have been training on an island overseas and adventuring. Although I have heard about the battlefield with the foreign races, I am not very clear about it. Please enlighten me." Lu Ming cupped his fists together politely. "So you are from overseas? No wonder. Then I will tell you." The blue-robed young man immediately began to explain. As everyone knows, the heavens are divided into 9 heavens. The 9 heavens are like 9 worlds that are connected by a passage. However, the passage between the heavens isn't a spatial passage, but the earth. The earth connects the heavens like an astonishingly long and wide road. This is the passage between the Hunyuan Heaven Domain and the Taiching Heaven Domain. Due to the invasion of the foreign races, the passage between the 2 heavens has become a battlefield. The blue-robed young man explained. Now that the Hunyuan Heavenly Domain had been occupied by the foreign races, this was the battlefield between the Taiching Heavenly Domain and the Hunyuan Heavenly Domain. If the foreign races wanted to invade the Taiching Heavenly Domain, they would have to attack from here. It was no wonder that he could see both the foreign races and humans here. Lu Ming breathed a long sigh of relief, his heart relaxing a little. Coming to the battlefield between 2 heavens was better than going to the other heavens that had already been occupied by the foreign races. The hell we're in right now is even more special. It's an ancient battlefield. Countless years ago, a terrifying battle took place here. Legend has it that the people who participated in that battle were the most terrifying experts in the world. After that battle, this ancient battlefield fell into eternal silence, and outsiders were unable to enter. The blue-robed young man continued. "Outsiders can't enter? Then we..." Lu Ming was puzzled. The reason why we couldn't enter before was because of the terrible war between the heavens and the foreign races. No one knows how many peerless experts died in the war. This place is filled with endless killing intent, and many peerless experts have left behind immortal marks after their death. Those imprints can sense the people who come in here. Once they sense a powerful existence, those imprints will attack and kill that powerful existence. However, a huge change occurred in this battlefield not long ago, and things took a turn for the better. As long as one's cultivation isn't too high, one can enter. Brother Lu, you are in luck. This is the battlefield of ancient peerless experts. Although countless years have passed, there may still be peerless treasures left behind. Many people have come to explore this place. Chapter 2191. He finally understood the gist of the situation after listening to the youth's explanation. They were currently in the middle of the battlefield between the two heavens. It was an ancient battlefield. In the past, there had been many battles between peerless experts. This place was filled with terrifying killing intent, and there were also inextinguishable marks left behind by peerless experts that would take the initiative to kill anyone who entered. So in the past, it was impossible to enter this hell. However, something strange happened not long ago and this place was now accessible. Lu Ming could not help but think of the figure that he had seen previously who was wearing iron armor and holding a long spear. Was he the one who had died in the battle and left behind an inextinguishable mark? His cultivation was too weak so the imprint didn't attack him. Compared to the peerless experts of the world, his cultivation was indeed too weak. Could the changes in this area be related to the previous battle? Lu Ming thought about it and felt that there was a high possibility. However, there are still imprints left behind by the masters. Those below the true Emperor realm will be fine since the imprints won't attack them. However, it's hard to say what will happen to those above the true Emperor realm. The higher the cultivation, the more dangerous it will be. That's why this is our chance. A fiery light flashed in the youth's eyes. Then, the blue-robed young man looked at Lu Ming and a strange smile appeared at the corners of his lips. Brother Lu, since you came here by accident, why don't we travel together? If we encounter any opportunities, we can share equally. All right. Lu Ming pondered for a moment before nodding. He had many questions to ask since he was new to Heaven World. It was best to team up. The three of them moved forward together. However, the three of them did not dare to go too fast. That was because no one had ever entered the ancient battlefield since ancient times. No one knew what kind of dangers there would be. Not long after, the three of them encountered another indestructible imprint. This time, it wasn't a human, but rather an enormous bird. Its aura was crazy, and its killing intent rushed into the heavens. The bird glanced at them coldly but didn't attack. After a while, it disappeared. The three heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, they weren't strong enough. Otherwise, they would have been attacked by these imprints. These imprints were extremely powerful when they were alive. Legend had it that this battlefield was one of the battlefields between Heaven World and the foreign races. Those who were able to participate were all unimaginably strong. Therefore, the imprints left behind by these masters were extremely terrifying. Great emperors who entered this place were killed by the imprints. Even heavenly emperors died after entering this place. From this, one could see how terrifying these imprints were when they were alive. Along the way, Lu Ming made indirect inquiries and found out a lot of information. The youth in blue was called Blue Cloud. The middle-aged man was called Lan Songsha. They were training outside the battlefield and fighting against the foreign races in Grand Pure Heaven's camp. This time, many people knew about the changes that had occurred in the ancient battlefield. Apart from them, many people from the Celestial Realm's military camp had also rushed over. After all, the people who participated in the battle back then were too powerful. Even though countless years had passed and many things might have decayed, if there were any treasures left behind that hadn't decayed, as long as one could obtain one, it would be a great opportunity. It was not surprising that many people came to explore. I'm afraid the outsiders will also send people here. The three of them continued forward, searching the area. However, there was only a deathly stillness everywhere. It was completely empty. There was nothing. 2 hours later, suddenly, their eyes lit up. There was a pile of messy stones in front of them. There was a skeleton sitting on the ground in the middle of the stones. He was holding a broken sword in his hand. When a martial artist reached the Saint realm, their physical body would be extremely difficult to corrode. In the martial emperor realm, their physical body was known to be immortal. However, everything was relative. It could be immortal for 100 years, 1,000 years, or even 10,000 years. But what about 100,000 years, 1,000,000 years, or even longer? Everything would eventually corrode in the passage of time. The skeleton in front of them was very likely to be a peerless master when he was alive. They glanced at the master's finger. Unfortunately, they didn't see a storage ring. Storage rings would also corrode over the years and disintegrate. The things inside could be swept into the turbulence of the void. Obviously, the master's storage ring had been corroded. Then, their eyes fell on the broken sword in the skeleton's hand. The broken sword was covered in rust. However, after such a long period of time, even the flesh of this peerless expert had corroded. Even his interspatial ring was corroded. However, the broken sword was still preserved. It was definitely an amazing treasure. In particular, Blue Cloud and Lan Songsha's eyes shone with a fiery light. "Brother Lu, why don't you go and get the broken sword?" Blue Cloud asked and looked at Lu Ming with a faint smile. "I go." Lu Ming's eyes flashed, but it disappeared in a flash. Blue Cloud asked him to go and get the broken sword. He definitely didn't want to give the broken sword to Lu Ming out of kindness. Instead, he wanted Lu Ming to test it out. After such a peerless master died, no one knew what dangers he would face even though countless years had passed. What if he left behind a trace of qi or some other means? Going to take the broken sword would be courting death. "Hurry up and go and get the broken sword," Lan Songsha also said in a cold voice. Lu Ming sneered. He finally understood why Blue Cloud was so kind to answer his question and invite him to go with him. His purpose was to use him as a testing stone. If there was any danger, he would ask him to go first. "Brother Lu, hurry up," Blue Cloud urged. At the same time, he moved and formed a triangle with Lan Songsha, blocking Lu Ming's path of retreat. A cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. "Okay, I'll go and get it." Lu Ming spoke and smiled faintly. He stepped forward and walked toward the skeleton. Lu Ming obviously didn't dare to be careless. He was highly focused and constantly scanned the skeleton and the broken sword with his spiritual consciousness. However, he didn't find anything unusual or dangerous. However, Lu Ming still didn't dare to be careless. He held the sword of the Celestial Emperor in his hand. Now that the energy stored in the Celestial Emperor's body was more than 10%, the sword of the Celestial Emperor could erupt with great power. If anything went wrong, he could use the sword of the Celestial Emperor to block it. He slowly approached the skeleton but still didn't find any danger. Lu Ming's spiritual consciousness was mainly focused on the broken sword. The broken sword was immortal. The most likely danger was on the broken sword. However, when he sensed it at close range, the broken sword seemed to have lost its spirituality. It was no different from a piece of scrap metal. Lu Ming stretched out his hand and grabbed at the void. A palm condensed from Saint Power grabbed at the broken sword. Saint Power? He hasn't become an emperor yet. Chapter 2192. Previously, they thought that Lu Ming was at least a martial emperor expert. Now that they saw that Lu Ming was using saint energy and not the power of the heavens, they immediately looked at him with disdain. At that moment, Lu Ming's hand, which was formed by saint energy, had already grabbed the broken sword. There was nothing wrong with it. The saint energy retracted and Lu Ming held the broken sword in his hand. It was cold to the touch and there was nothing special about it. Lu Ming kept the Heavenly Emperor's sword. Unless it was a last resort, Lu Ming would not use the Heavenly Emperor's sword. After all, once the energy of the Heavenly Emperor's body was depleted, it was too troublesome to replenish it. The amount of resources needed was also shocking. After such a long time, the spirituality in the broken sword has already dissipated and it has become a piece of scrap metal. Lu Ming scanned the broken sword with his spiritual consciousness and found that it was useless. Seeing that Lu Ming had successfully obtained the broken sword, Blue Cloud and Lan Songsha smiled. "Brother Lu, quickly hand the broken sword to me," Blue Cloud said impatiently. "Brother Lan, I was the one who obtained this broken sword." Lu Ming turned around and looked at Blue Cloud. "Brother Lu, hand it to me first. When we get more treasures in the future, we'll split it equally," Blue Cloud said impatiently. If not for the fact that he still needed to use Lu Ming, he would have turned hostile. Lan Songsha was even more direct and said, "It's a waste for a peerless expert to leave such a treasure in the hands of a saint like you. Hand it to us first and we'll compensate you later." Lu Ming sneered in his heart. On the surface, he deliberately pondered and said, "All right then." Then, he tossed the broken sword to Blue Cloud. Blue Cloud was overjoyed and quickly took a look at it. He was disappointed after taking a look. It has no spirituality. It's like a piece of scrap metal. Blue Cloud shook his head but still kept the broken sword. "Both of you, I still have something to do. Let's part ways here." Right then, Lu Ming said. "You want to leave?" Blue Cloud's face darkened. "That's right. I still have matters to attend to in my hometown. I have to find the exit and return first. I won't accompany you two in your treasure hunt." Lu Ming casually found an excuse. "Lu Ming, I've explained so many things to you. How can it be so easy for you to leave just like that? Come with us," Blue Cloud said coldly. "Kid, come with us to search for treasures. Otherwise, don't even think about leaving this place." Lan Songsha appeared behind Lu Ming, emitting a cold killing intent. They wanted to forcefully drag Lu Ming along as their pathfinder. Lu Ming sneered. The other party had indeed explained some problems for him, but he had already taken a risk for them and obtained the broken sword. Furthermore, the reason why the other party explained the problem to him was that he didn't have good intentions from the start. Lu Ming's lips curled into a smile. "All right, since that's the case, I'll accompany you. However, we must split the treasures equally." "Of course," Blue Cloud said. However, he sneered in his heart. Lu Ming was really naive to think that they could split the treasures equally. Even if Lu Ming didn't die during the pathfinding process, they wouldn't leave Lu Ming behind. Boom. At that moment, something strange happened. Lu Ming erupted. He instantly raised his battle strength to the peak and threw a palm strike at Lan Songsha. This move was too sudden. Lan Songsha was very strong. He was a 4-star illusionary emperor. Facing danger, he roared and several types of laws spread out from his body. However, he was still a step too late. Previously, they thought that Lu Ming was just a person below the martial emperor realm. They could kill anyone below the martial emperor realm with a flip of their hand. Thus, they were not so cautious. At that moment, Lu Ming suddenly attacked. Lan Songsha could only control his laws in time to block in front of him. Boom. Lu Ming's palm landed on Lan Songsha's body. The nomological laws that covered Lan Songsha's body vibrated violently. In the end, they were penetrated by Lu Ming's palm. The terrifying palm force surged into Lan Songsha's body, creating a huge hole that penetrated his body. Lan Songsha let out a cry of agony and backed away rapidly. His eyes were filled with astonishment. At that instant, he had sensed 7 types of laws from Lu Ming's body, 2 types of supreme laws and 5 types of emperor laws. Lan Songsha was almost scared to death. This guy's strength is very strong. Lu Ming frowned too. Lu Ming's 5 types of laws had reached the perfection stage. However, the laws of alchemy and the laws of weapon arts had yet to reach the perfection stage. His body had yet to be refined, but his strength was significantly stronger than during the Battle of 10 Earths. With his current strength, he could easily kill a 5-star illusionary monarch with his full strength. However, Lu Ming had failed to kill Lan Songsha with a sneak attack. He had only severely injured him. Lan Songsha was only a 4-star illusionary monarch. He had sensed 3 types of laws from Lan Songsha's body. 1 type of emperor law and 2 types of ordinary laws. Moreover, the 2 types of ordinary laws had both reached the 2nd realm. Lan Songsha's strength was much stronger than ordinary 4-star illusionary monarchs. At this moment, Blue Cloud also reacted. "Bastard, how dare you attack? You're courting death." Blue Cloud roared and unleashed his strength, charging towards Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming's figure flashed and charged towards Lan Songsha. He would deal with one first before dealing with the other. The other party wanted to use him as a testing stone. How could that be possible? Boom. Lu Ming's palms slashed out continuously. In an instant, he had slashed out dozens of palms. Each palm contained 7 types of laws. Its power was extremely shocking. Lan Songsha was severely injured by Lu Ming. He spat out blood continuously. His strength was not even 20% of his peak state. How could he resist? After a few moves, his protective laws were shattered. The surging palm force landed on his body. Lan Songsha did not even let out a scream before his body exploded. Boom. After killing Lan Songsha, Lu Ming's figure did not stop. Taking advantage of the momentum, he turned around and blasted a palm behind him. Because behind him, Blue Cloud's attack had also arrived. Lu Ming's palm slammed onto Blue Cloud's fist, erupting with a violent boom. Lu Ming felt a powerful force surge towards him. His figure retreated repeatedly. Blue Cloud was not much better. His figure also drifted backward. His strongest law has already reached the 2nd realm. There's still another type of Emperor law. Lu Ming's heart stirred. Blue Cloud was undoubtedly a top-notch prodigy. He was not weaker than some of the prodigies who came to Destiny Mountain with Heavenly Emperor Kong Yin back then. A 3-star illusionary monarch controlled one type of strongest law, one type of Emperor law. His strength was not weaker than that grey-robed youth who had fought with Lu Ming back then. At this moment, Blue Cloud was even more shocked. He also sensed the laws that Lu Ming controlled. He was extremely shocked. "It's you. I remember now. You're that trash from the Yuan realm. A peerless trash." Blue Cloud suddenly roared. He was also a top-notch prodigy in the Heaven domain. Back then, some people went to the Yuan realm. After returning, they said that a peerless trash had appeared in the Yuan realm. Below the martial Emperor realm, he had mastered many types of laws. He had even mastered 2 types of strongest laws. However, he could not become an emperor. Back then, it had caused a stir in the Heaven domain. Now that he had fought with Lu Ming, he immediately remembered. "You're just a trash. How dare you kill someone from the Lan family? You're courting death." Chapter 2193. Blue Cloud's entire body was filled with ice-cold killing intent. At the same time, he emitted a scarlet light. Even his palms were the same. Boom. Boom. Blue Cloud blasted out more than a dozen punches at Lu Ming. As he swung his fists, there was a violent lion roar. Lu Ming saw that on each of Blue Cloud's fists, there was a fiery red lion roaring. As Blue Cloud swung his fists, the fiery red lion also pounced. This was a terrifying divine ability that unleashed the power of the 2 laws that Blue Cloud controlled. Lu Ming waved his palm, erupting with 7 types of laws, and instantly struck out more than a dozen palms. Boom. Boom. Fists and palms collided constantly, erupting with shocking rumbles as energy swept out. However, countless years ago, this place had experienced a great battle between peerless powerhouses. The ground had become extremely hard. The energy from the battle between Lu Ming and Blue Cloud could only leave a shallow mark on the ground. The 2 attacked at an astonishing speed. The sky was filled with fist and palm shadows. In an instant, they had exchanged more than 100 moves, and lion roars were incessant. Damn it, this guy is even stronger than the legends say. Didn't the legends say that he only grasped 5 types of laws? Blue Cloud roared in his heart. After exchanging more than 100 moves, he could not defeat Lu Ming, which made him a little impatient. Lu Ming's expression was calm. This Blue Cloud was indeed not weaker than the grey-robed youth back then. However, Lu Ming was also much stronger than during the Tenlands battle. During the Tenlands battle, facing the grey-robed youth, Lu Ming had to borrow the power of his 3rd bloodline to be able to resist. But now, He did not need the power of his third bloodline to resist. The two continued to exchange hundreds of moves, but it was still difficult to determine a victor. "Tear him apart for me," Blue Cloud roared. The fiery red light on his body became even stronger. He waved his hands, and the fiery red lions in his hands merged into one, transforming into a huge red lion that pounced at Lu Ming. The power of this move was much stronger than before. This was Blue Cloud's ultimate move. It was his trump card, and its power was astonishing. Hammer of Chaos. Lu Ming used his self-created divine ability, the Hammer of Primal Chaos. During this period of time, Lu Ming had not stopped exploring the Hammer of Chaos and the Sword of Death. The power of these two mystiques was getting stronger and stronger. In particular, Lu Ming had fused the Alchemy Dao Law and the Tools Dao Law into it. The Law of Primal Chaos and the other 5 laws of the King Dao fused together in a miraculous manner, exploding out at the same time. A huge hammer was formed and smashed towards Blue Cloud. Boom! The Hammer of Primordial Chaos collided with the gigantic red lion, causing the space to explode continuously. Terrifying energy swept out in all directions. The two of them were locked in a stalemate in the air as they continued to fight. In the end, the red lion and the Hammer of Primal Chaos exploded at the same time. The two of them trembled and retreated. How is this possible? Blue Cloud roared in his heart. With his strength, he was actually unable to take down Lu Ming. This made him extremely shocked and furious. "Kill!" he roared. An even more intense red light spread out from his body. His glabella shone and a huge seal was about to appear. As soon as this huge seal appeared, a shocking lion roar was heard, causing the void to explode continuously. Its power was extremely terrifying. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. He could feel that this was a terrifying emperor weapon. It was at least a true emperor weapon. Lu Ming did not hesitate at all. His third bloodline appeared. He borrowed the power of his third bloodline to increase his strength greatly. Boom! Lu Ming took a step forward and rushed towards Blue Cloud like lightning. The Hammer of Primal Chaos smashed out. Blue Cloud did not expect Lu Ming's strength to suddenly increase. In a hurry, he hurriedly blocked, but how could he block it? After being hit by the Hammer of Primal Chaos, Blue Cloud screamed and flew out, vomiting a large mouthful of blood. Kill! Lu Ming was very decisive. After injuring Blue Cloud with one move, he immediately rushed over to kill Blue Cloud. "Lu Ming, I'll kill you sooner or later." Blue Cloud roared and spat out a mouthful of blood. Then, a fiery red jade token appeared in his hand and he crushed it. Roar! After the jade tablet was crushed, a huge fiery red lion appeared. This lion even had a pair of wings. It grabbed Lan Yun and with a flap of its wings, its body soared into the sky and flew into the distance at an astonishing speed. Lu Ming chased after it, but after a while, he realized that he could not catch up at all. The other party flew further and further away and finally disappeared from his sight. What a pity! Lu Ming sighed. Blue Cloud was definitely a disciple of a major force in the heaven realm. He had many treasures on him. That jade token was used to save his life. Lu Ming went back and put away Lan Songsha's storage ring. Then, his figure flashed and he left this place. After that, Lu Ming carefully traveled through this area alone. He encountered 2 imprints a few times. Among them, there were imprints of foreign races and experts from the heaven realm. Other than that, he found nothing. The key was that in this battlefield, Lu Ming could not tell the direction. He did not know which side was the exit and how to get out. He could only walk around randomly. Suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes moved. A sound came from ahead. In this land, there was no other sound other than the sound of the wind. But now, there were other noises. This meant that there was a situation ahead. Immediately, Lu Ming used the divine breathing technique to restrain his aura to the extreme. Then, he landed on the ground and walked along the ground. After 100 miles, Lu Ming hid on a low mountain peak. Using the rocks as cover, Lu Ming looked ahead. In front of him, there was a flat land. There were burly figures. Evil God tribe. Lu Ming narrowed his eyes. There were a total of more than 10 evil god tribe members. However, these evil god tribe members were different from the evil god tribe members that Lu Ming had seen before. These evil god tribe members were also covered in scales. However, in the past, the scales on the evil god tribe members that Lu Ming had encountered were all black. However, the scales on these evil god tribe members were purple. Moreover, they were slightly smaller than the evil god tribe members that Lu Ming had encountered before. However, they were indeed members of the evil god tribe. Each of them had a third eye between their brows. More than 10 purple-scaled evil god tribe members surrounded an area. Their figures flashed continuously as if they were setting up something. That is, Lu Ming looked around again and discovered that the one surrounded by more than 10 evil god tribe members was a skeleton. This skeleton held a big bow in its hand. Obviously, the evil god tribe members were here for this big bow. However, they did not dare to get too close. These guys seemed to be setting up some kind of formation. Lu Ming observed carefully and discovered that the evil god tribe members should be setting up a formation. After a while, the evil god tribe members stopped and retreated in a flash. "Activate the formation," one of the evil god tribe members shouted. Then, purple light spread out from the bodies of the evil god tribe members and sank into the ground. The ground shone, and streams of jet black light shone out. Then, these jet black lights condensed into large words. Chapter 2194. The formation set up by the evil god tribe condensed many large, black, ancient words. The moment these words appeared, they flew toward the large bow. They shone brightly and suppressed it. However, at this moment, the large bow emitted a beam of light. It was like a light shield that enveloped the bow. Those large words were blocked by the light shield. More than 10 members of the evil god tribe exuded an even more intense purple glow that surged into the ground. The prowess of the great formation grew stronger, emitting black light continuously. Many large black characters appeared continuously, rushing toward the great bow. However, even though the light barrier around the big bow was trembling non-stop, it was still not broken. This large bow still has its spirituality. It is definitely a supreme divine bow, Lu Ming thought to himself. A fiery look flashed in his eyes. After a while, it was still ineffective. It did not break the light shield around the large bow. Our formation is set up too far away from the large bow. We can't fully unleash the power of the formation. We have to get closer and set up the formation near the large bow. Only then can we eliminate the killing intent on this large bow, an evil god tribe member said. That's right. This is a treasure left behind from ancient times. After so many years, its spirituality has not completely disappeared. It is definitely a treasure. We can't miss it. Let's do it. Another evil god tribe member also spoke. Then, the 10-odd evil god tribe members carefully approached the large bow. When they were within 1,000 meters of the large bow, they started to set up the formation again. Buzz. Just then, the large bow let out a buzz and emitted a bright light. Then, a beam of light shot out from the large bow like an arrow. Poochie. An evil god tribe member did not have the slightest ability to resist. The arrow pierced through his head and he died. Increase the speed. An evil god tribe member shouted. The purple light on the bodies of the 10-odd evil god tribe members became increasingly intense. They increased their speed to set up the formation. Beams of light entered the ground. Swoosh. At this moment, the large bow vibrated again. Another arrow shot out and killed another evil god tribe member. The remaining evil god tribe members were terrified. However, at this point, they could not retreat. They could only grit their teeth and continue. They increased their speed to set up the formation. Swoosh, swoosh. In the process of setting up the formation, the great bows vibrated incessantly. Arrows shot out one after another, killing the members of the evil god tribe one after another. What terrifying power! This killing intent hasn't dissipated yet. Lu Ming's expression was somewhat solemn. He could tell that there was a trace of the bow's owner's killing intent in it. Any living creature that approached the bow would be mercilessly shot to death. This was also the reason why Blue Cloud and the others had asked Lu Ming to lead the way. If the broken sword from before still had spirituality, it would be extremely dangerous. As for these evil god tribe members, it was clear that they wanted to set up a great formation to erase the killing intent on the great bow. In just a short moment, 8 members of the evil god tribe died to the bow. And now, there were still 9 members of the evil god tribe left. Success. Retreat. A member of the evil god race roared. Whoosh. Whoosh. The remaining 9 people retreated frantically. But at this moment, the great bow vibrated and another arrow shot out, shooting towards one of the evil god tribe members. No, that member of the evil god tribe roared in despair, filled with unwillingness. They had already succeeded and retreated. But at the last moment, the arrow shot out at him. Pu. Without any suspense, this member of the evil god tribe was killed, leaving only 8 members of the evil god tribe. The remaining 8 people retreated at an astonishing speed. When they retreated to a certain distance, the great bow stopped emitting light and quieted down. The 8 members of the evil god tribe revealed expressions of lingering fear. If they had been unlucky, they would have already died. Let's begin. The 8 of them exchanged glances and then started to activate the Great Formation. This time, the inner and outer layers of the Great Formation were activated together, forming many ancient and profound characters that flew toward the great bow. Lu Ming reckoned that this Great Formation should be one that all members of the evil god tribe had. The ancient characters flew toward the great bow. The great bow shone, and a layer of light enveloped it. But this time, the prowess of the ancient characters was clearly much stronger than before. The large characters shone like weapons, pressing down on the light barrier. Boom! Boom! The light barrier trembled incessantly, creating layers of ripples as if it would shatter at any moment. A few minutes later, the light barrier indeed could not withstand it. Like a bubble, it burst with a pu sound. Those large characters rushed toward the great bow, covering it. Buzz! At this moment, the great bow vibrated, emitting terrifying killing intent that permeated the surroundings. Those large characters covering the great bow crumbled one by one. However, more large characters would soon cover it. Every time the large characters crumbled, the killing intent on the great bow would dim a little and weaken a little. This was using the power of the Great Formation to grind away the killing intent on the great bow. As time passed, the killing intent on the great bow became weaker and weaker. Half an hour later, the killing intent on the great bow had completely disappeared. We succeeded, haha. One of the members of the evil god tribe laughed loudly. The other members of the evil god tribe also revealed looks of joy. They stepped forward and approached the great bow. The great bow did not react at all. In the end, they approached the great bow. One of the members of the evil god tribe stepped forward and grabbed the great bow. Buzz! That member of the evil god tribe held the great bow in his hand and tried to pull the bowstring. However, after pulling for a long time, the great bow did not react at all. Ha, as expected of a supreme treasure. With our cultivation, we can't pull it open at all. That member of the evil god tribe laughed loudly, becoming even more excited. If they brought such a precious treasure back and handed it over, they would definitely receive generous rewards. Let me see. Another member of the evil god tribe was very curious. He took the great bow and tried to pull it open, but it did not work either. In the distance, Lu Ming's eyes were filled with killing intent. 3 4-star Void Emperors and 5 3-star Void Emperors. Lu Ming muttered. Earlier, these members of the evil god tribe were controlling the Great Formation. Lu Ming already knew the strength of these members of the evil god tribe. Originally, there were 2 5-star Void Emperors among these members of the evil god tribe. However, they were too unlucky and were killed by the great bow. The strongest remaining was only a 4-star Void Emperor. Lu Ming decided to make a move and kill these members of the evil god tribe to snatch the great bow. Whoosh! Lu Ming soared into the sky and approached the area where the evil god tribe was. Lu Ming executed the divine aura art and did not release any aura at all. The other party did not sense anything at all. They just stood there and looked at the great bow. Now is the time. With a thought, Lu Ming swooped down like a bolt of lightning, killing his way down. As he swooped down, Lu Ming condensed a battle sword in his hand. This was a magic skill, the Sword of Death. Not good, there's someone. The members of the evil god tribe also discovered Lu Ming. They all roared, and purple light spread out from their bodies. Kill. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.